dumb idiot. Looks like you got yourself a saucy hand.
Yeah, I do.
Try yourself a Picasso boneless wing. Maybe next.
Well,
Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
folks, welcome into a brand new edition of the Crowd Assist podcast. I am one of your hosts today, Kevin Misser, here with Cullen. Good old Cullen there in the Christmas tree background, getting very festive over there in the Cullen scenery. That is a real background he's using over there. But we have a fantastic matchup to go over with you today. Bills, Titans, Nashville, Bills fans galore. Lots of fun stuff going on down there. We're one of two people that are bringing it to you live from Western New York, enjoying our time up here, being able to be on the ground and kind of feel what's going on in this community. But while maybe 40,000 plus are down there in Tennessee, Cullen, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. I mean, all these Christmas trees around me. It's Christmas morning. Big game tonight. You know, it was, I guess I'm not used to it yet. The Bills getting primetime games and having to wait all day Sunday, and then now even today. I mean, last week we had to only wait till 8:20 Sunday night. Now we got to wait till 8:20 Monday night. But, you know, it's good. Kickoff's only about 2.5 hours away, and I'm ready to watch the Bills.
Yeah, and more importantly, bye week next week. So this is going to be even the, you know, talk about waiting. You're going to wait another 13 days to see the Bills on Halloween against the Miami Dolphins for the second time before they even play the Jets or the Patriots once. So that's an interesting scheduling for considering that preseason, at least. Those are probably going to be the two best teams in the AFC East. And now they'll be out of the way on by Halloween. So first, we got a great matchup here today with the Titans and the Bills. A.J. Brown's reported to be playing after this illness. He is on a snap count for all you fantasy fans. Not sure how much he can go, even with this illness, with this soft tissue injury. Lots to mull over there if you really want him to go. If you have other players, Cole Beasley, maybe he's worth it. If you're flexing on Zach Moss, lots of other options there. But A.J. Brown is a go here tonight for the Tennessee Titans. But they are missing probably, you know, according to our crossover edition with Locked On Titans, probably one of their better defensive players in Christian Fulton will be out against the Bills' high-flying octane offense. Not what you want if you're the Titans. They're going to have to go with a rookie in Caleb Farley here, Cullen. Is there an instant matchup favor for the Bills passing game?
I mean, it's hard to say because we know that anyone on this team is capable, on this offense is capable of creating a matchup nightmare for anybody who they go against. I mean, the Diggs is going to be matched up against, you would think, the number one every time they play against somebody, and he still has the potential to easily go off. Sanders has proven that he can go off for this team. Beasley was kind of like non-existent. I just don't remember seeing him in the game against the Chiefs, and yet they still hung up 38 points on them. So I'm looking to have a good bounce back game for Beasley, if you want to call it a bounce back. I think he was only out there for a little over 30% of the snaps on offense last week, which, you know, is slow for him, but it worked. So I'm looking for them to come out, get him the ball early, get him going, and then let Diggs and Sanders go to work. And don't forget about Knox now, because he's proven that he's TEU worked for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's some matchup issues there on the Tennessee defense. Like, they've been struggling on offense a little bit. They're obviously their offense runs through Derrick Henry, but they have some major issues to me on the defensive side of the ball. You know, Bud Dupree's been added out of the lineup, was paid a ton of money, hasn't done much yet. They're going with David Long and Rashawn Evans, Rashawn Evans has struggled. He hasn't been very good. Yeah, I agree with he's definitely the Bills are definitely going to be a matchup nightmare for the Titans D. That is for sure. There is matchup nightmares all over the board. I don't know who's going to guard Dawson Knox. They have Kevin Baird, who's a really good safety, one of the best safeties in the NFL. He's going to have a say in all of this, but they're going to struggle across from him. I mean, they're just straight up is true. Jackrabbit Jenkins, a guy that goes by Jackrabbit Jenkins now as his official name, as we were told by the Titans, Titans coverage guy. So Jackrabbit Jenkins, an old wily vet. He's going to struggle to me against another old wily vet in Emmanuel Sanders. That's going to be a matchup pro Bills. Christian Fulton's out. So you're going to be looking at a, Breon Borders, Caleb Farley type of matchup there. I don't know. Maybe that Jackrabbit's going to go on Stephon Diggs. I don't think that's going to work out very well for them. Chris Jackson, their slot corner, is going to go against Cole Beasley. There's just matchups galore there for Bills fans to enjoy. However, I'm going to imagine you're going to see maybe Baird come down on Knox. Could take him out of the game a little bit more, their best player. But hey, if we have to sacrifice maybe one of their key cogs of their defense, and that's what Dawson Knox's matchup is today, so be it. That's something to watch out for. How are they going to guard Dawson Knox? Is certainly not going to be at the linebacker position. There's not much there to enjoy. They've been struggling mightily. They have Jeffrey Simmons, who's another good, underrated defensive lineman, but not a lot else. We'll see what Bud Dupree can bring today. The defense is very poor, Colin. There's matchup nightmares everywhere for the Bills. And I think for me, it's all about, can they run the ball? I don't know. Do they need to run the ball today? What's your opinion on running the ball? We talked a little bit about the high-flying offense. Do the Bills need to run the ball?
I'll say yes and no. I mean, the Bills have been very good running the ball this year. Like, they've been better than what they've been in the past few years. I mean, coming in, I think they're top 10 in average yards per game. I'm not sure how that looks. I was looking at this yesterday morning. I'm not sure how that looks after the games yesterday, but it's been effective. And that's what they talked about all offseason is we don't have to run the ball more, but we have to be efficient with it. We have to be effective. We have to make it count when we do run the ball. And so far, it's been like that all season. And tonight, it's going to be a beautiful night in Tennessee. Josh is going to air it out. We know that. And if the running game can come in and just complement Josh and his arm and that passing game, a necessity to run the ball isn't there, but just, kill some clock at the end. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a close game at all. So if you got to kill clock, you kill clock with that. But, I mean, even last year we saw the Bills, they were dominating games, and they're up 20, 25 points in the third, fourth quarter, and they're still throwing the ball. All gas on the brakes, or all foot on the gas, sorry.
There you go. All feet on the gas, baby.
Yeah. So,
I couldn't agree more.
They got to run the ball. They do it. I mean, Moss is up there in touchdowns already. Get him the ball. Let him go to work. I want to see Zach Moss on an angry run segment. I really do.
Yeah, Zach Moss. So I guess the last question for you on this topic, you a Zach Moss or Devin Singletary guy?
I'm a Zach Moss guy. And it's just like this. Just a little bit up. I think Singletary did get better in the offseason. He got faster. He got quicker. He finds holes better. But Moss is just that dominant runner. And he's a guy, and he's proven this year that he can be an effective weapon in that passing game too. I mean, look at that game last week. He ran a tight running back corner route pretty much out of the backfield, just a straight angle route, and he's wide open, picks up 15, 20 yards. I mean, we weren't seeing him do that last year that much, and he's been proven to be a viable weapon, both running the football and catching it.
Yeah, I mean, I am notably a pretty large Devin Singletary fan. I'm on his corner. I think he's the better running back. Does have occasional fumble issues, but we've seen Moss put it on the ground as well. Singletary, 55 carries for 284 yards and a touchdown this season, 5.2 yards per clip, most importantly. Those are numbers that you want to see out of him. Zach Moss, however, 46 carries, 184, and 3 touchdowns. So he's getting it done at a lower yards per clip, hovering right around that daunting 4 number, Colin. That's a number that scares me a little bit. And as expected, nothing from Matt Breida, not even active anymore. It was something I said. He was shot in Miami. I watched him play. I was like, I don't know what the Bills think they're going to get out of him. I didn't like it. I like and I tweeted this the other day just for fun, just because there was nothing else on. I said, I wish the Bills would have kept Devontae Freeman. I think he would have been a wily vet to keep around in the locker room. They took a chance on Breida. It's not a huge deal, obviously. I'm just interested to see it's a position that can come in right off the bat and be productive. With the trade deadline coming up in 2 weeks and a bye this week, is that far-fetched to think that they had a running back here, Colin?
I think it depends kind of how this game goes. I mean, they're fine, I guess, now with only activating 3 running backs. If you count Tywan Jones in that for special teams, Breida hasn't been active. And if they're fine with the 2 backs that keep playing consistently, then there's no need to go out and add a fourth or another back, or actual running back per se, to go in there and have to carry the ball. If they don't look good today, or if some injury happens with the bye week coming up, you could potentially see them going for a trade. The only thing that haunts me is remembering back to last year when Moss got hurt, and I think Singletary
Yep.
got hurt a few plays later, and it's like, okay, now what do we do? And in that case, I mean, if Tywan Jones go back there, you go back there and hand the ball off to Gilliam. I don't know, but it all comes down to this week. I think that is a very good point. I didn't even think about that. The bye week coming up, we could see the Bills go out and get a running back, even just if it's a veteran. If they see something on film that's constant between either Moss or Singletary, they want a guy to come in and just be there to show them what to do rather than just adding another coach or whatever. Come in, show him what to do, see him on the practice field. And if you activate him, you activate him. If you don't, he's there as a leader for those two young guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting kind of topic. The trade deadline's coming up. I tweeted something out. I got a bunch of responses. People were across the board on what they'd like to see happen at this thing. I like to see them make a move. The Bills are primed and destined to win. They are able to make a move. I think that they have a roster spot. You know, they're using a lot of roster spots on special teams right now, a facet that's hurt them, not helped them, if anything. So I think that they can move away from potentially, you know, activating all of these. They run two linebackers, you know, let's be honest, and they have great depth in AJ Klein. You know, Tyler Matakevich is great depth. You know, at least up for the special teams unit. I don't see the need for Dodson. I don't see the need for Andre Smith. I do think that they can make a move there and free up a spot to help them pursue a push. They're rolling with two tight ends. That was interesting. Zach Ertz ended up going for a 5th round pick. I have a hard time believing the Bills weren't in on that preseason. Maybe they saw what they got out of Dawson and they were like, yeah, we'll keep our 5th. I got to imagine the cost was higher than that 2 months ago. You know, from all accounts by Bill Belichick, he was talking about high end compensation that went down in a hurry. Matt says they have a running back on the practice squad. Yeah. I mean, is he better than Matt Breida? He didn't even beat him out he had a poor preseason by all accounts. I was expecting him to actually push for a role. In a pinch, you can call him up like today. By whatever the deadline was, like 3 or 4 p.m. on a Monday Night Football game. You could have activated him, and done some things on a 1-game basis. Absolutely. Maybe at the end of the season, week 17 against the Falcons, and then the Jets as well. There's in week 17 and 18. But Cullen, I think that they have the ability to pursue this roster, and they're looking down and don't see injuries. Does that mean they don't make a move, or does that mean they're free to add any move? That's the real question as we head into the middle of the season.
Yeah, you brought up Dotson and Smith had a fantastic preseason. He was all over the place. Edmonds wasn't playing. Milano wasn't playing.
Yeah,
and he had a bunch of tackles. I remember the Lions game, the Bears game. He's out there. I feel like I heard his name every play. And I think he had the fumble recovery last week on the kickoff. But I mean, there's got to be a team that's out there that is either looking to trade for a stud middle linebacker that can go sideline to sideline. There's nobody out there that has both Milano and Edmonds where they don't need a guy like Smith, who when he got his time this preseason, he got a good tape out there. So there could be a team that's looking to get a guy like him, or, if you think you need a back, you ship one of them off, or you just let it play out and see what happens. I mean, injuries are part of the game. You can't deny that. We all pray that they don't happen. We all, no matter who it happens to, we don't want them to happen, but they are part of the game. So if that happens, I think a back trade is going to be necessary. But right now, I think they're set. I think they feel fine with what's working. They're 4-1. Hopefully 5-1 after tonight. Hopefully they keeps working and they're fine.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Obviously, you met up 2 good points. Injuries, we'll see if anything happens on that front here after today. They could be reactive to that, and we'll see how they perform today. Going into the bye at 4-2 is a lot different. I don't want to say a lot different. It is different than 5-1. 4-2, you're thinking about what happened against Pittsburgh. You're thinking about what happened against Tennessee, and what might you need to alter. Defensive tackle is not out of the running for me too. I don't know. I know they're deep there. They could always use some talent at that position, in my opinion, especially how much they rotate those guys. So there's some interesting things that are on the fold. Watch out for our bye week edition. We'll get into a little bit more of those trade conversations as come on, it's a bye week. There's some stuff that we can talk about there. So we'll bring that to you next week. But getting back into this game, let's flip the sides of the ball here. We got to talk a little bit about the Bills defense against this potentially high-flying Titans offense that we haven't seen too much of because, quite frankly, they've been running a lot of, Chester Rogers, Josh Reynolds, don't have a backup running back. So Derrick Henry's taking all the snaps. And we know I've been told he's horrible in pass protection. So they have some issues there. So they take him off the field occasionally on third downs and that in those situations. But tonight we're going to see the return of Julio Jones and the return of A.J. Brown on a pitch count. It's going to be interesting. Back to our favorite discussion. Are you nervous about, Trey White's going to have to pick one of them. Are you nervous about a Levi Wallace on Julio Jones matchup?
No. And the reason is because he has two safeties back there that can help him. If Trey is going to be shadowing A.J. Brown, or if A.J. Brown's on a pitch count, they decide Trey Trey needs to shadow Julio. A.J. Brown's not going to be at full strength. So that would be helpful if Levi gets put on him because he's not going to be playing every down. He's not going to be at full strength. And then the Titans don't have, like last week, he might have been worried about McCole Hardman over on Levi Wallace on McCole Hardman. But they had Kelsey that you had to worry about. So that leads more reason to worry about Wallace's side of the field. But now the Titans, they don't have anybody else besides really those two guys that scare me. So when you have White on one of them and you got safety help on the back side of the other side of the field, it leaves really no reason to worry. And I'm really anxious to see how this pass rush does again tonight. If they can hit home, there's no reason to worry about Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me is the battle of Taron Johnson. He's got no one really to guard in his level. We're used to having potentially a primetime slot receiver, maybe someone that can put up fight. Maybe you could look at him to guard a running back out of the backfield. Derrick Henry can catch the ball, but it's not necessarily his forte, not what he's there to do. They don't really have that receiving back. Anthony Firkser, a guy that was been told to me to be staying in and blocking more. There's really not a huge need. You see more base defense today than normal. Not normally. The Bills will roll out. They just paid Taron Johnson, one of the highest paid slot corners in the league. I mean, schematically, it says to play the 4-3 over and to play A.J. Klein more schematically against Derrick Henry. I mean, it's just how I personally would envision it, like in a one-time basis with them not having a third receiver and A.J. Brown on a pitch count. I might look at putting a linebacker on the field. The Bills are very in tune with the versatility of Taron Johnson and being able to tackle out of the slot and being able to do a little bit more. I just think he's being wasted on their third receiver who, has struggled. Like they've just gotten no receiver production. What do you think from Taron Johnson? Like how weird of a matchup is that on a one-time basis? I don't even know what you do out of the nickel.
Yeah, we haven't seen this offense either, the Titans offense, that is. We haven't seen them like to their full capacity yet. They played one or two games like all together. And so far this year, Derrick Henry leads the league in rushing yards by over 120, and he hasn't played in week 6 yet. Like that's right, including the numbers. So we know they're going to run the football. So yeah, you said it. Put A.J. Klein out there. You paid Taron Johnson, but you got to go out and you do. The Bills always say we look at the next week. It's always one game at a time. We're going to do what we can to do to win the game that we play this week. And if that means putting A.J. Klein out there for majority of the snaps, because even it could be 3rd and 9, the Titans will take their chances handing the ball off to Derrick Henry and see where he can get them. But Taron Johnson, he is a jack of all trades. He can tackle. He's a good slot corner that can come up, make a play. And if they're passing and he doesn't have to worry about anybody to cover, send him on a blitz. He's good at sacking the quarterback too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think right here on the pregame show, I think it's possible. Matt thinks that you're going to run extra Klein and Neal in bigger nickel situations. Yeah, I mean, look, it just makes sense to match up your best on best, and Taron Johnson probably is your best. He's better than A.J. Klein. But schematically, does it work today? If it works today, it's got to be out of the blitz formation. It's got to be the confusing packages. It's got to be if maybe they have Julio and A.J. Brown on the same side of the field, you can use them there. To me, maybe he sees a tight end or two that's out, and someone's going to be playing in the slot. You can see him in those situations. But if they're in two receivers formations with A.J. Brown off the field, they're already weak. I mean, extra DBs is interesting. Taron Johnson's got to get down and dirty today as the third linebacker against a really bruising running back. So this is really an interesting note, and I'm interested to see if they play more base than normal. So obviously Klein comes out, Milano plays big nickel. Yeah, I mean, Milano will still be more of your hybrid linebacker. He'll be able to cover their tight ends. But once again, no tight ends to worry about here. Interesting matchup. I think you need to do everything you can to sell it against the run. Trust your safety play. Trust your corner play. and stop Derrick Henry, something they've done excellent. Ryan Tannehill's taken advantage of him in the last 2 seasons, most notably last season, where that's how the Bills played. He's been under, he's been only 2-figure rushing totals each time, Colin. Do you expect that to continue tonight, being able to stop Derrick Henry to under, 80 rushing yards?
I think he could get up to 80. It might be in somewhere between the 80 to 100 yard range, just because of how much volume he's going to get. Okay. I still see this Titans team running the ball with AJ Brown and a pitch count. Julio hasn't been 100% healthy either. Yep. They're going to run the ball, and it might take them till 6 minutes left in the third quarter when they realize, when the Bills go up by 3-4 scores, and they realize, oh, we have to actually pass the ball now. So it all depends on how much volume they want to give him. It all depends how they view their own matchup against Levi Wallace, and if Julio is really good and he's back to 100%, like we know what he's fully capable of. AJ Klein, if he makes the most of his snaps he gets, it could be dangerous. But I'm going to put Henry in probably the 80 to 100 yard range, but it's going to be on a ton of carries. I think he gets over 18, 20 carries, and he's going to do it that way. Okay.
We are talking about potentially in unproductive fashion. And I see that, but obviously how well Klein played last week against a really good Chiefs team, offensive team at least. What are we? I mean, it's so interesting. Can you play him tonight? That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering what the Bills do for being like one of the most nickel heavy teams in the league. I'm sitting there as McDermott right now, like, look, it says to point to play the third linebacker. That's what it says to do. Like, regardless of how good Taron Johnson is at tackling, he doesn't have a huge coverage matchup tonight. And obviously, I think worst case scenario, you're talking a split. Like, no matter what, they would still play some nickel. They would still blitz him. You would still see a slot. I mean, you'd be taking Taron out of the game, guarding, a Kano Westbrook. Like, there's not that big. Like, they like Chester Rogers. Like, there's not really that. They're taking him out of the play to me. So, he'll still play at least 50, but it's really that other 50% of the snaps. I don't think you play Taron Johnson for 100% of the snaps tonight. So that's what's interesting to me. I think you need AJ Klein for at least more snaps than he's normally used to in a third linebacker role. That's what's going to be fun tonight. Matt Milano's already kind of freed up too, because look, Anthony Firkser had some preseason hype. Anthony Firkser definitely had some preseason hype. He's staying in the block right now. He's protecting some bad offensive line play right now for the Titans. They're still struggling in times. For as well as Henry's running, they're still struggling. Still one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league is Ryan Tannehill. So, Matt Milano's free already. So to me, like, I don't know. You don't need to have Taron Johnson and Matt Milano on really limited coverage assignments. I think that you have the opportunity, and AJ Klein can hold his own in coverage. It's not like, he's not a world beater, but he's certainly not a major liability like we saw a couple weeks last season, and then he kind of figured it out in this defense. I think what's really interesting here is stop the run. And what can they, if you stop the run and force them to go in and then play into our hand, then you can take Klein off the field in the second half and play more Taron Johnson when they're trying to air it out. Their goal is to, quite frankly, defensive end rush the passer in terms of keeping Tannehill in the pocket. Matt agrees with that. Absolutely. I mean, keep him in the pocket to make plays. It's pretty cliche. Like, look, guys, like, Colin, keep a quarterback in the pocket, whether it's Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. It's pretty cliche with how to stop a quarterback, but especially a team that, like the Titans, who can't make their own magic, in my opinion, especially if you're stopping the run. What's your key to stopping this Titans offense? Is it to stop Derrick Henry and you win? Like, what's your opinion on that?
I think if you can contain Henry, that's pretty much the game plan, is to keep him in check. He's most physical runner in the league. He's probably the best running back in the league. You keep him in check, and what do the Titans have? I mean, they went out with the full roster week one, albeit they went out in week one and got destroyed with a full healthy roster at that point. And now you got their two best receivers, two maybe top 15, 10 in the game. Both are not 100%. You keep Henry, and I'm really hoping, like we talked about earlier, you brought it up, the D-line has to step up. They have to be able to get through that weak Titans line and make plays. It doesn't even have to be in the backfield. You hold Derrick Henry to 2 yards one play, 3 yards the next, it's 3rd and 5, and then you bring the house on 3rd down because they're running it, then you're fine. You keep him in check. You force Tannehill to make decisions he doesn't want to. I feel like he's the kind of guy that, like, he's smart with football. He knows what he's doing. He's a very, very high IQ quarterback. And And when he has two good weapons on the outside, he's going to take care of the ball. You force him into mistakes. I'm hoping the Bills get another interception. Another pick six would be insane. You did it last week to Mahomes, who never turns the ball over until this season. Like that one play yesterday. What the hell was that? God. I saw your tweet. It's like, if Josh Allen does this, only Josh Allen does this, then whatever. But yeah, you keep Henry in check. And I mean, I feel like the Titans are so one-dimensional, and it feels like the Ravens in the past few years, it's like, oh, you stop the Ravens, you stop the run, it's not going to work. They can't do anything after you stop the run. And I feel like this year with we haven't seen them all really play together, but with the injuries, I feel like you stop the run, it's an easy win. Plus, don't forget, it's not going to be a stop the run, kick field goal game. It's going to be you stop Derrick Henry, Josh Allen goes out and throws a touchdown. You stop Derrick Henry again, you get another touchdown. Easier that, you're up 14-0. So you stop Derrick Henry, stop the run. Should be a simple game plan, but like we talked about, like what's the schematics? How are you going to put out Taron Johnson? What are you going to do with Klein? I mean, I am curious to see we got the bye week next week. How 100% healthy is Matt Milano? He didn't play last week. Do you get him on a snap count and you play more of Klein and you play Johnson more, just so you have both those guys out there? I mean, Milano's a huge piece of this defense, but you lose him again, he gets hurt, he tweaks it again. What do you do going forward?
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of the matchup here is like, what does the second half look like? If it's close, you're probably going to see a lot of Matt Milano. If it's not, you're probably not. I mean, It's probably straight up that simple. And then if it's not in the fourth quarter, then maybe that's when you don't see Matt Milano. But if they grind it out and are doing their job and are productive on the Titans' offensive side of the ball, I don't know. You're going to probably see a majority of Matt Milano going into the bye. I think they feel pretty comfortable knowing that he'll have an extra week to rest. But that's not to say that if it gets away from the Titans, I think they go to Klein. I think then you see Taron. But yeah, I mean, what's interesting is this run pass blitz. I do think you'll see it. I think they have the ability to do it. I don't think they're scared of Chester Rogers. I don't think the Titans behooves them to play, Chester Rogers too much and taking other players off the field. But they don't have a lot. If A.J. Brown's out on his pitch count, and all you have is Julio on one side, you're going to need to get in Chester Rogers. And at some point, the Bills are going to say, fine, we're not going to just let a slot receiver on a linebacker for the game. Taron Johnson will see his time. And I just think that the Bills can do different things. Blitz Taron Johnson. And if Chester Rogers beats you, all right. Of the game plan, that's probably the one that you have in your mind that you'll live with. If Chester Rogers gets his 50 yards, all right, you're doing something right. So yeah, I mean, I think you need those strategic run blitzes, fill those gaps, limit the problems. If Derrick Henry breaks one because he catches you in a run blitz, all right, it happens. But if you contain him for the other 12 times that you run blitz, that's well worth it. And if you get him off the field in a couple 3 and outs, yeah, I mean, you probably trade that for a 47-yard run. Just pure numbers, you would do that. So there's a lot of interesting matchups, and it's tough for me with the Bills playing exclusively nickel. What do they do? Once again, lots to look forward to on this. And then maybe we're onto something. Maybe Taron Johnson blitzes a whole lot, and other DBs do as well. You can trust Trey White to blitz. We'll see what happens. Will Trey White be in the backfield tonight? I think it's very possible you see that as well. So Matt Milano is going to be coming. He's certainly not scared of who he has to match up with. So you're going to see a lot of strategic blitzes here from Leslie Frazier and crew. I think it's going to be opposite of what you saw against Patrick Mahomes, which was literally blitz once. It was contested. It was either 0 or 1. I saw it both ways against Patrick Mahomes. I think you're going to see an opposite game plan. They're not going to sit back there in coverage when they have Derrick Henry. So you're going to see an opposite game plan that you saw last week. Does that involve bringing A.J. Klein in? I think it might, Colin. So we're going to see how that all plays out. But it's time. We need to talk about keys to the game, keys to victory, as well as score predictions. Got to get started somewhere, Colin. Give me some keys to the game. What do the Bills need to do to win? Equaling, what do you have going to happen tonight here on Monday Night Football?
Keys of the game. I mean, we talked about it enough. Stop Derrick Henry. I feel like that's the only option here. I'm curious to hear what you have to say, but I feel like that's the main one. And that's the defensive side of the ball. I got to see that defensive line get pressure. I think Starr's been playing very good. Even if he's not recording all the tackles, he's drawing 2-3 guys at a time. And that frees up room for the rookies to get in there like Rousseau and Basham. So that's on the defensive side. I mean, get a takeaway. Yep. I'd love to see that again. Love to see 1 or 2. And on offense, you talked about if Henry breaks out a 47-yard run, you deal with it. You live with it because one big play for the Titans, I think is not going to be able to match up with 3 or 4 big plays for the Bills offense tonight. So get the guys going early, get the ball to Beasley, get them all involved quick, and see what happens. And if you got to run the ball, you run the ball. I think Beasley's. I haven't even seen the player prop yet. The past couple weeks, it's been 4.5. It's probably going to be there again. I think he could hit the over on that this week. I think he's kind of going back and forth. One game he doesn't hit it. One game he hits it.
Player prop alert.
Yeah, I love Beasley over 4.5. I'll take it every week because they get him the ball. Last week was different, but you get him the ball, he's one of the best slot guys in the league. So get him involved and have a consistent running game to complement the offense. You don't have to run the ball every down like the Titans are going to do because you have Josh Allen. But if you run, you can't throw it. You can't have Josh go out there throwing it 60 times. If that's what you have to do to beat the Titans, then that scares me considering what happened last week. The main thing I want to say about this game is that you saw what happened yesterday, that Chargers-Ravens game. Huge game in the AFC. Huge. We're in week 6. Huge playoff implications already. You can't go into Tennessee, who lost to the Jets, and go in there and take an L. So if you want me to give my prediction now?
Give it to us.
All right, I'm going to go 38-17 Bills. Cover the minus. The spread jumped up to 6 today. I got them last night at 5.5. They still easily cover the 6.
Okay. You got them covering the 6. To me, I have one. So we're going to talk about keys to the game. Keys to the game for the Buffalo Bills tonight: get ahead. The Titans get in trouble by the minute. They don't have Patrick Mahomes at any point last week, really, until the Rousseau interception-ish. Game was still at reach. There was never a problem there. Get ahead of the Tennessee Titans. They're going to be in obvious passing downs with bad offensive tackles. Already, Bills are going to be able to do some sneaky things, be able to play more coverage, get Taron Johnson on the field, get ahead in this football game. That is the key to this game. Can the Titans stop the Bills offense? I don't think so. Even if the Titans offense is going, which it has the potential to, regardless of losing to the Jets, it has the potential to get going. If it does, and we're in one of those games, it's still key favor Buffalo. Get Josh Allen against these inexperienced corners. You've got a wily veteran, and then Chris Jackson, a guy who was terrible last year, and then Caleb Farley, a rookie, going to guard your 3 best guys. It's not going to happen. They certainly don't have any depth past that. Maybe Gabe Davis, maybe Jake Kumaro, some guys to watch out for in the red zone tonight. And then maybe even Isaiah McKenzie. Watch out for some sneaky plays tonight on Monday Night Football. Josh, big game football. You can catch him at 1 o'clock at home with the rain and some snow potentially in Buffalo at some points this season. That might be what hurts Buffalo a little bit. I didn't like that Steelers matchup. We saw last night what they're capable of doing on the defensive side of the ball. Really, TJ Watt won the game for the Steelers, just like almost on his own. And a kicker. You need to be able to get past that. And Josh plays. It's kind of the opposite of the Ryan Fitzpatrick days. It's kind of the Bills play well on primetime football. Josh gets up for these games. No one else needs to motivate him. He still wants to show the world. He still wants to show talent evaluators. He still wants to show the teams that pass on him, most notably the Jets, maybe the Browns, maybe others, maybe the Giants. He wants to show them that they've made a grave, and certainly probably the Broncos, they've made a grave mistake leaving him on the board till 7. And he's going to continue to play that way. He's got that Aaron Rodgers swagger. And you see Josh Allen tonight. That's what's going to happen to me. I'm not predicting, unless they're up big in the 3rd and 4th quarter, I'm not predicting a huge running day. I'm predicting the Bills to attack their weakness. And to me, no linebackers. Rashaan Evans is okay, struggling this year. No cornerbacks, Colin. I'm really expecting a big day. Can Jack Rabbit Jenkins keep up on Stephon Diggs? Don't like that matchup at all for the Titans. This might be the day where you're not playing Xavier Howard. You're not playing the top cornerbacks in the league anymore right now. This could be matchup positive Stephon Diggs. So watch out for a key passing game. It's going to be one of those games in the upper 300s to me. And if you see some running, it's going to be from Josh Allen and then potentially late in the game. Those are keys to the game. Defensively, cliche, contain, Derrick Henry, of course. But to me, I'll let him have his. Don't let Ryan Tannehill do what he did last year. Don't let him get out of the pocket and make plays. That is why the Bills lost. They did a great job on Derrick Henry. Maybe at some point you take your chances with Derrick Henry. and you make sure they can't throw the ball. They can't score with you. Even if Derrick Henry breaks up 170-yard touchdown run, they can't score with you. Make sure that Ryan Tannehill doesn't prove that he can do it again this year. That's what the Bills need to do, and they need to avenge that awful COVID game from last season, and they need to do whatever they can to show that Bills fans need to continue to travel, because quite frankly, it's not going to be a fun night in Nashville if they don't show up for this game, because we've heard all night, all day yesterday about the 60, 50%, and 70% Bills fans that might be at this game and turn it into a home game, at least 50-50. Let's get them something to cheer for. Josh Allen needs to show up and prove again, like the San Fran game last year, that he is an alpha male, that he is going to win this game. Colin, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, 8 touchdowns in his first 2 games on Monday Night Football. He's 3rd all time, I think, only behind Montana and Marino, I want to say. I mean, that's some great company to be a part of. And Josh shows up on primetime. The first one that comes to my mind is that Thanksgiving game against Dallas. And you think of the Patriots game last year. You think about the 49ers game last year, like you just brought up. He shows up, and I'm expecting him to show up tonight. 38 is a high number, especially if the Titans are going to run the ball. But this offense is so high flying that they're gonna put up points in a variety of ways. You might see another pick 6, hoping maybe for another a big gain in the return. Give him a touchdown. Give McKenzie a touchdown. You brought him up on offense. Let him break one free for a touchdown.
And for all of our exclusive listeners here that are stuck with us, I'm not sure many of you are out there at this point. Did want to say I do have breaking news from a source inside the Bills that Brian Daboll's grandfather died. And that could be big news for a big offensive performance like we saw the last time that his grandmother passed. So that is a news or nugget that I've just heard from around the league. So watch out for that. Does that mean we're going to see primetime Josh? He's going to dial it up. He's got a special remembrance here for Brian Daboll's grandfather. I think so. So breaking news per sources, Brian Daboll's grandfather has passed away, and this will be an emotional game for sure for the Bills and the Buffalo Bills offense and the entire team. So, they're going to pay their respects, and they're going to do anything they can in that regard, Colin. So, that motivation is something, but I just wanted to bring that to the attention that did happen. So we might see Premier Brian Daboll tonight.
Yeah, we see these Bills players. They seem to, it sucks. It's part of life, but it does suck. And these guys, they're human too. But we've seen it in the past. You brought it up with Daboll. We saw last year when Josh Allen's grandma died before the Seattle game. He had a monster day. We saw, I think, week 2 when Moss tweeted out, he said he had to bury his, I want to say it was his mother or his grandmother 2 days before. He went out and had 2 touchdowns. These guys react to adversity very strongly, and they want to go out there and put on a show for their loved ones who are watching out from above. So, yeah, I think they go out. They're going to pay tribute to Daboll and his family, and they're going to have a great game.
Yeah, so what an action-packed show we had here, Colin. Did have to say shout out to show sponsors, Outlet Liquor. What's your outlet? Pick up your favorite case of whatever it is that you prefer. So many great choices there, from your classics to Buffalo favorites to whatever it is that you like. Get out there to Outlet Liquor. What's your outlet? And Picasso's Pizza. Man, do I wish I had Picasso's tonight with their lick your finger wings and boneless wings and char and cup pizza. Man, gotta love Picasso's Pizza. Gotta love Outlet Liquor. Get your shopping done now at a 6:20 about on the clock. 2 hours till kickoff. Want to give you guys time to get coverage over with, some of your favorite other broadcasts as well. We love to share the wealth here, but we really appreciate everyone coming out in a force tonight on YouTube. That's what we like to see as we try to put out as much YouTube content with our Twitter. We know we have great Twitter content, but we want you to get over to YouTube, subscribe, do whatever you can. We'll be running some contests. Kevin's cool takes will be on there. Got a cool take for tomorrow. So get out for that. Colin, what do you got for me? Any final words?
I had Bills 38-17. I didn't think I heard your prediction.
That's right. I was saving it for the last moment. The Bills get it done. They score points today in Bushes. 40-10 Buffalo. I think that there is plenty to play for tonight, and I don't predict big Bills victories often. I usually have the other team covering. I just think with the way that this game is set up, with the fan support, what we've heard inside the team with sources there, just so many factors right now that are involved with this that I really think that it is a blowout that I don't ever predict. I'm not someone that predicts 42-10 Buffalo every day. I got 40-10. It's Monday Night Football. This is where you brought up the stat. Josh Allen's the third best quarterback on Monday Night Football ever. So I think that continues here tonight. And, I just think that there's so much going for them all around heading into the bye. Maybe they make moves. Hopefully the injury bug stays away. They've been super healthy, and that's keys to the game, staying healthy. That is something the Bills have done in great success throughout the McDermott regime. I'm not a superstitious man, but I'll still knock on wood for anybody that is. They've had great success on the injury front. Let's hope that continues tonight and into the bye with the extra week. And then maybe we'll see some moves. So we're going to bring that show to you coming up soon. Next week, show about potential offseason additions and what the Bills need to do in the second half of the year, Cullen. But from Kevin and Cullen, Outlet Liquor, Picasso's Pizza, from a 30-point Bills win and a 21-point Bills win, we got you coming at you. We both in the double digits. We're expecting a big game time performance tonight to avenge last year's Titans loss with that weird COVID situation. So really appreciate everybody tuning in. Until next time, good night now.